Before we begin, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Please share your city in the comments below. This is a historic moment, and we want to know from which corners of the world you're witnessing what's happening in Jerusalem. The sun rises over Jerusalem, bathing ancient stones in golden light. They've witnessed thousands of years of history. Today, they witness another prophetic moment. October the 1st, 2025. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. The holiest day in the Jewish calendar. But this year, something is different. This year, the world watches with bated breath. Thousands upon thousands flood Jerusalem's streets. They come from every nation, every tongue, every tribe, drawn by an inexplicable spiritual magnetism. They feel it in their bones. Something monumental is unfolding. The Western Wall Plaza, normally crowded, is now an ocean of humanity. Religious Jews in white garments stand shoulder to shoulder with curious onlookers. International news crews position cameras at every vantage point. Social media feeds overflow with live streams. The world can't look away. Jerusalem has become the epicenter of global attention, not for conflict, not for politics, but for spiritual awakening. The anticipation is palpable, electric. You can almost touch it. The air itself seems charged with prophetic potential. Many who came can't even explain why they're here. They just knew they had to come, had to witness, had to be present, as if history itself had summoned them. The call goes out across Jerusalem. Ancient shofars, ram's horns weathered by centuries, lift toward heaven. Their carriers, elders with beards white as snow, stand ready. The signal is given. The shofars sound. The primal, penetrating blast cuts through modern noise, through political divisions, through spiritual apathy. It awakens something ancient in all who hear. The call that once summoned Israel to atonement now echoes across social media, across satellite broadcasts, across the digital landscape of our interconnected world. It calls humanity to attention, to witness, to remember. Religious leaders from across Judaism gather at the Western Wall. Their prayers, recited for thousands of years, take on new urgency, new meaning. Something profound is happening. The chief rabbi approaches the microphone. His voice, though soft with age, carries authority that silences the massive crowd. Today, he announces, we stand at the threshold of prophecy fulfilled. The words send ripples through the assembly. Smartphones lift higher to capture every syllable. What our ancestors only dreamed of seeing, we now witness with our own eyes. Behind him, an unprecedented sight unfolds. Religious divisions, normally stark and unbridgeable, seem temporarily suspended. Different Jewish traditions stand united, conservative, orthodox, reform, unified in this sacred moment. The rabbi continues, his voice gaining strength. The prophet Joel spoke of these days when the Spirit would be poured out, when the old would dream dreams, and the young would see visions. The prophecies once sealed in ancient scrolls now unfold in real time. Words written millennia ago describe this very day. This very moment, the book of Zechariah foretold a time when all nations would come to Jerusalem, when the city would become a burdensome stone for all people, when the eyes of the world would turn to this tiny plot of land. That time is now. The prophecy lives, breathes, walks among us. Joel's ancient vision materializes before our eyes. The outpouring of spiritual awareness, the unprecedented unity, the global attention. All foretold, all happening now. Isaiah's words echo through time. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of mountains, and shall be lifted up above the hills, and all the nations shall flow to it. Look around, see the nations flowing. Streaming to Jerusalem from every corner of earth, Japanese tourists stand beside Brazilian pilgrims, Nigerian priests beside Australian rabbinical students. The prophecies spoke of this global gathering, this moment when Jerusalem would become not just Israel's capital, but the spiritual focal point of humanity, Jeremiah's promise of restoration, Ezekiel's vision of revival, Amos's proclamation of rebuilding. All converge on this Yom Kippur, this Day of Atonement, this moment of prophetic fulfillment. This isn't history recorded in dusty books. This is history happening now, unfolding before our eyes, being live-streamed to billions. The Western Wall, where Jews have prayed for centuries, now hosts the most watched religious service in human history. Over 3 billion viewers across platforms. Unprecedented, unplanned, unscripted, real-time prophecy fulfillment. The prayers recited today are the same prayers spoken for thousands of years, yet today they resonate differently. Each Hebrew word carries weight beyond its traditional meaning. Each ritual gesture seems charged with cosmic significance. Orthodox Jews sway in fervent prayer. Their talitot prayer shawls catch the Jerusalem breeze. The white garments of Yom Kippur, symbols of purity and atonement, stand out against Jerusalem's golden stones. This isn't merely tradition continued. This is tradition transformed, electrified, made new even while remaining ancient. Across Jerusalem, unexpected phenomena multiply. Reports stream in from the Mount of Olives, from the Garden Tomb, from the upper rooms of the Old City. Spontaneous prayer gatherings, unprecedented healings, encounters that defy rational explanation. Those present feel it, those watching sense it through their screens. Something transcendent pierces the veil between heaven and earth, between prophecy written and prophecy fulfilled, between what was foretold and what is now unfolding. This Yom Kippur is unlike any other in living memory, perhaps unlike any since ancient days, the present moment pregnant with prophetic significance. Listen to the voices rising from Jerusalem today, the prayers in Hebrew, in Arabic, in English and Russian and Amharic and dozens more languages, pilgrims who journeyed thousands of miles to be here, local residents who stepped from their homes into history. "I had to come," says an elderly woman from Argentina. "I've waited my whole life for this moment." A young man from South Korea explains through tears, "I felt cold. I couldn't explain it to my family. I just knew I needed to be in Jerusalem today." A family from Kenya saved for 3 years to make this journey. "The prophecies are coming alive," the father says. "We had to witness it firsthand." Even secular Israelis, normally distant from religious observance, find themselves drawn to Jerusalem today. Something beyond tradition pulls them, something they can't articulate but can't ignore. The voices blend into a tapestry of testimony, different stories, different journeys, different backgrounds, yet all converging on this place, this moment, this fulfillment. The voice of the people becomes one voice, a worldwide congregation gathered in the world's most contested, most revered city, united not by theology, but by an ineffable sense of witnessing history's pivot point. The shofar sounds again, the Tekiah Gedolah, the great blast, longer than seems humanly possible. The ancient ram's horn carries the breath of its blower to the furthest reaches of the Western Wall Plaza, to the millions watching online, to the spiritual atmosphere itself. The sound pierces hearts, opens spiritual eyes, awakens dormant faith. This isn't just sound, this is spiritual vibration made audible. The same sound that brought down Jericho's walls now builds bridges between heaven and earth, between prophecy and fulfillment, between divine promise and human experience. The shofar blowers, trained for this moment, summon every ounce of breath. The sound continues, 10 seconds, 20, 30, a supernatural sustaining that defies physical explanation. Those present feel it in their bones, in their souls. The sound that once announced the year of Jubilee, that once crowned kings of Israel, that will one day herald Messiah's arrival. That sound now declares, the time is now, the fulfillment is here, the prophecies live. When the sound finally fades, silence descends, complete, profound, holy. For nearly a full minute, not a cough, not a whisper, not a rustle disturbs Jerusalem's sacred silence. 3 billion viewers hold their breath alongside those physically present. Then, spontaneously, weeping begins, not from sorrow, from recognition, from spiritual awakening, from encountering the numinous in the mundane. The rituals performed today link directly to those performed by Aaron, the first high priest, by Solomon in the first temple, by Ezra and Nehemiah when they returned from exile, an unbroken chain of memory and observance. The reading of Torah today connects worshippers to Sinai itself, to the giving of the law, to foundations of faith laid millennia ago. The prayers recited today have passed from generation to generation, grandfather to father to son, through exile and persecution, through wandering and return. The fasting observed today follows patterns established when the temple still stood, when smoke from sacrifices still rose above Jerusalem, when prophets still walked these streets. Today's observance doesn't merely commemorate that history, it continues it, extends it, fulfills it. The white garments worn today symbolize the same purity sought by ancestors long departed. The confessions spoken today echo those spoken by Jews across centuries. The ancient and modern converge in this moment. This isn't reenactment, this is continuity, living tradition. Memory made present, the past isn't dead. It breathes in every ritual gesture, every Hebrew word, every bent knee and bowed head. Those observing Yom Kippur today stand in a river of tradition flowing from Sinai to this very moment, and perhaps beyond, to horizons yet unseen, to fulfillments yet unrealized. Something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere over Jerusalem today. Those sensitive to such things feel it immediately. A weight, a presence, a tangible manifestation of the divine. Even skeptics find themselves unexpectedly moved. Hardened journalists sent to cover just another religious event find themselves participating, weeping, praying. The impact transcends religious boundaries. Muslims feel it from the Temple Mount. Christians feel it from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Secular tourists feel it simply walking Jerusalem's ancient streets. "I've never experienced anything like this," confesses a self-described atheist from Germany. "I can't explain it rationally, but something profound is happening." Medical personnel report inexplicable healings throughout Jerusalem. Sight restored, chronic pain vanished, conditions deemed permanent suddenly gone. But the greater miracle is spiritual awakening. People previously indifferent to faith find themselves overwhelmed by divine awareness. The invisible becomes visible. The spiritual becomes tangible. Faith becomes sight. Rabbinical authorities struggle to contextualize what's happening. This goes beyond traditional understanding, beyond conventional theological frameworks. One elderly rabbi, respected for his scholarship, simply says, "God is visiting his people, as he promised, as the prophets foretold. We are witnessing divine faithfulness to covenant promises made thousands of years ago." The impact ripples outward from Jerusalem. Reports flow in from around the globe, similar manifestations, similar awakenings, as if Jerusalem has become an epicenter of spiritual energy radiating worldwide. What does this moment signify? Why now? Why this particular Yom Kippur? Scholars and theologians will debate for generations, but those present don't need academic explanations. They know in their spirits. This is a sign, a marker, a prophetic milestone. The convergence of celestial signs is unmistakable. This Yom Kippur falls exactly 7 years after significant Middle East developments. It coincides with rare astronomical phenomena noted by observers worldwide. The timing aligns with prophetic timelines found in Daniel, in Revelation, in ancient Jewish texts. This isn't coincidence, this is divine choreography, heavenly timing, the calendar of eternity intersecting with human history. Jewish sages have long taught that history moves not in circles but in spirals. Events echo previous events but at higher levels, on expanded scales. Today's events echo Pentecost, echo Solomon's dedication of the First Temple, echo Ezra's reading of the Torah when exiles returned. But this echo amplifies what came before, expands it, fulfills it in ways previously unimagined. Those studying prophecy recognize the patterns, the parallels, the fulfillments. As it was written, an Israeli prophecy expert explains, so it is unfolding before our eyes, in our lifetime, in ways our ancestors could only imagine. This Yom Kippur service, this prophetic moment, does not stand in isolation. It's not the end, it's a beginning, a doorway, a threshold crossed. What follows remains to be seen, but all sense the trajectory has forever changed. Spiritual leaders from diverse backgrounds gather near the Mount of Olives as evening approaches. Their impromptu council has no agenda except acknowledgement, recognition of the moment's significance. We stand at a hinge point of history, declares an elderly Orthodox rabbi. Others nod in solemn agreement. What begins today continues tomorrow, adds an American pastor who flew in specifically for this Yom Kippur. The prophecies don't end here, they continue unfolding. Already plans emerge for unprecedented cooperation, for continued spiritual observance, for shared study of prophetic texts across traditional boundaries. The seeds planted today will grow tomorrow, and the day after, and for generations to come. The testimonies from today will spread, will inspire, will awaken others not present to witness firsthand. The recordings of this Yom Kippur service will be studied for decades, the first-hand accounts treasured and passed down. I was there, future grandparents will tell wide-eyed children. I saw prophecy fulfilled. This moment, powerful beyond description, is but a foretaste, a preview, a glimpse of greater fulfillments yet to come. Not an end, but a glorious beginning. The world watches Jerusalem today, not just the 3 billion viewing the live streams, not just the news outlets broadcasting continuous coverage. Something deeper watches. The spiritual eyes of humanity turn toward this ancient city, this prophetic focal point, this divine appointment kept after millennia of waiting. Reports flow in from global spiritual communities, unprecedented prayer gatherings in Seoul, in Rio, in Nairobi, in Sydney, all focused on Jerusalem, all sensing the significance, all participating from afar in what unfolds here. Religious leaders who couldn't travel to Jerusalem hold special services, explain the prophetic importance, connect their communities to this pivotal moment. Jerusalem has always been the spiritual center of the world, explains a theologian from London. Today, that reality becomes undeniable. Even secular media struggles to maintain detachment. Reporters, trained in objective distance, find themselves caught up in the moment's power. Their broadcasts betray emotion, awe, wonder. Nations long hostile to Israel find their citizens inexplicably drawn to these events. Online viewership spikes in unexpected regions. In countries officially opposed to anything Israeli, the human spirit recognizes truth even when politics denies it. The prophetic significance transcends geopolitical boundaries, transcends religious divisions. Speaks to something fundamental in the human soul, something that recognizes divine movements, that senses when prophecy breathes to life, when ancient promises materialize in contemporary events. The sun sets over Jerusalem. Yom Kippur draws to its close. But what began here continues. What was awakened remains alive. What was revealed cannot be unrevealed. The Western Wall Plaza still overflows with worshippers, with witnesses. With those forever changed by what they experience today, no one rushes to leave, to break the holy moment, to step back into ordinary time. The chief rabbi offers final prayers as stars appear above Jerusalem. His voice, though tired from the day's events, carries renewed strength, renewed purpose. What we have witnessed, he declares, our ancestors longed to see. What we have experienced, prophets and kings desired to experience. A reverent murmur ripples through the crowd. Acknowledgement, agreement, awe. We go from here as witnesses, he continues, as messengers, as those privileged to see prophecy not just on parchment, but in living color, in real time, with our own eyes. As his final blessing rings out over Jerusalem, many feel not conclusion, but initiation. Not ending, but beginning. The prophetic story continues, unfolds, reveals itself page by page, chapter by chapter. Today was but one moment in an eternal narrative, significant, pivotal, unforgettable, but pointing toward fulfillment still to come, still to be witnessed, still to be experienced. The sun has set on this Yom Kippur, but the light of prophecy fulfilled continues to illuminate the path forward for Jerusalem, for Israel, for all who have eyes to see and ears to hear the unfolding of divine promises in our time.